Boomerang is a 1992 American romantic comedy directed by Reginald Hudlin. Film stars Eddie Murphy as Marcus Graham, a fly advertising executive who happens to be a player caught in his ways. Everything changes when he meets his new boss, Jacqueline Breyer, Robin Givens. Marcus discovers that she is essentially a female version of himself, and he realizes that he's receiving the same treatment that he delivers to others. Film also stars Halle Berry, David Alan Grier, Martin Lawrence, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt, and Chris Rock. Welcome to the Life Television. Today we bring you things you didn't know about Boomerang. Development. Eddie Murphy created the original idea for the film, which he took to writers Barry Blonstein and David Sheffield, both of whom he had been working with during his days in Saturday Night Live. After they finished the first draft of the script and were given the green light on the project, Murphy offered the directing job to Reginald Hudlin, who had previously found critical and commercial success with his debut film, House Party. For Boomerang, Hudlin said that he really wanted to take Murphy somewhere he had never been before, and that he and the writer's goal was to put Eddie through paces, to have him have an arc, like most characters in movies do, put him in situations that allows him to have a genuine obstacle. Marcus Graham. Prior to the release of Boomerang, Eddie Murphy's role had been created around a persona that the public had got accustomed to. However, as Hudlin shared, that didn't actually reflect who he was as a man, so the film was his chance to show more of himself in the role. It was a chance to be his whole self, Hudlin said. The personas of 48 Hours, Reggie Hammond, and Beverly Hills Cop's Alex Foley are great characters, but people just keep wanting him to do the same thing over and over again. So with Boomerang, he can finally be more of who he was as a person. It was very deliberate that he styled almost exclusively in Thierry Mugler suits. The intention was to give Murphy's character Marcus Graham a cool yet sophisticated style. So typically, when it comes to black characters, either you have to be successful, smart business person, or you're hip, but you're never both, said Hudlin. And one of the reasons why the movie had such an enduring popularity is because the character is both. Casting. Hudlin knew immediately that he wanted Halle Berry for the role of Angela, after she came in and did the reading, and was nervous that Murphy wouldn't like her. Berry had appeared in a couple of films prior to being cast in Boomerang. However, after Berry performed her screen test, Murphy told Hudlin, "Well, that's it, there's no need to see the other two actresses." Executives at Paramount Pictures were nervous about Robin Givens being cast in such a major role in the film, as she was disliked by many in the general public at the time because of her past relationship with Mike Tyson. Hudlin, however, thought that he made her a perfect fit for the role, and that she was a formidable person and a match for Eddie Murphy, who always had a reputation as a ladies' man. David Alan Grier and Martin Lawrence were cast as Murphy's best friends in the film. At the time, Grier was well known for them color. B.B. Drake Macy and John Witherspoon had played a couple in House Party and were reunited for the film. This time we're playing the character Gerard's parents. Tisha Campbell also worked with Hudlin on House Party. Lawrence, who was developing his television show at the time, and decided to cast Campbell as his girlfriend and later wife Gina for his hit sitcom Martin. Grace Jones was cast in the role and was essentially written as a parody of herself. Hudlin said she was always 100% committed and would do absolutely the craziest thing at any given time. She was absolutely perfect for the role, and it was written for her, and she came in very humble and very sweet. Eartha Kitt was the hardest person to cast for the film, as she was somewhat offended by her character's tone in the original script. Eventually she accepted the role, as some of the more tasteless jokes in the script was changed. Hudlin, however, did say that she was great to work with, and she really got into the spirit of it, and was a lot of fun. Lela Rochon was known for her role in Murphy's 1989 film Harlem Nights. She was brought back for a small role in Boomerang. Chris Rock, who was Murphy's protege and had acted in small roles in few films. The majority of the film was shot in New York City during the winter. Although it was very cold, the director said it's great to actually be in the city and get the authentic New York flavor. The next time you watch Boomerang, pay attention to some of the symbolism that occurs. The Empire State Building shares a scene with Jacqueline and Marcus while they're standing on a cold New York street. The building is lit, but once they announce that they're breaking up, the light goes out, symbolizing the forthcoming sadness that Marcus will feel. The soundtrack. Marcus Miller produced the original score for the film, while Antonio L.A. Reid and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds worked on the soundtrack. With such a wealth of new material, director Hudlin said sometimes we use a song by L.A. and Face, but sometimes Marcus would take some of the songs they had written and do a score recreation of it. For one of the songs, Love Should've Brought You Home, is a great example that came from a line of dialogue where Halle is frustrated with Eddie. She says, "Love should've brought your ass home last night." slaps him, and at that time LA leans over to me and goes, "That's a great song title." I said, "Great idea. They write a song. Love should have brought you home." I said, "Well, who's gonna sing it?" They said, "Well, you know, we got this great young singer who sang the demo. Reggie, if you like the demo, then you can use her." And I said, "Great, let's use her." So that was Toni Braxton's debut. And I remember when I finally met Toni at Babyface's wedding, LA said, "You owe your career to this guy. He gave you your big break," which was really sweet. The soundtrack album reached the number 4 spot on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the top R&B and hip-hop chart. It also included multiple singles that charted on their own right. The most successful was Boyz II Men End of the Road, which went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart and stayed there for 13 weeks, breaking Elvis Presley's previous record, and was widely considered a magnum opus of black R&B music in the early 90s. Influences: Francois Toufet's Jules and Jim was an influence on the story arc between the characters Angela, Gerard, and Marcus. Director Hudden explained, "I remember when I saw Jules and Jim's when I was a kid, and the awkward feeling of two guys. One has a better time with girls than the other, and they both fall in love with the same woman. I remember the agony of watching the emotional stakes of that picture, and this is just a fun movie. I'm not trying to compare myself to Toufet on any level, but at least that's what inspired the moment." Hudden came up with the foot gag, which was used as a plot device to show the arc of the character's growth. It originated from a joke between the director and his friends about a man picky about women that he even looks at their back teeth. So it's like, how do we define that Eddie's a back teeth kind of guy? So I came up with the idea of showing feet, that no matter how beautiful this woman is, if she has messed up feet, then he's out of there. We had our crack makeup department apply corns and all kind of terrible stuff on her feet. We just jacked her foot up for the shot. Also, Hudden said, "We know he's in a higher consciousness when he doesn't even notice what Halle Berry's feet look like." The character Angela's art class was an idea. The filmmakers had to put Murphy in a context where he's interacting with kids, which he hadn't done prior to this film. The cast rehearsed for 2 weeks before production started, which director said really created a sense of team, and everyone playing off each other and everyone having a comfort level. Murphy even told Hudden that he hadn't rehearsed since his days at SNL, and he was going to rehearse for all his movies from now on. Box office. On its opening weekend, the film earned $13,640,760 and ranked number 3 on the box office. It also ranked number 3 for the 2 following weekends. By the end of its theatrical run, the film grossed over $70 million domestically and $62 million outside of the US, making a total of $131,052,440. It was the 18th highest grossing film in the US in 1992. Compared to its budget, the film was considered a success. Cultural impact. Boomerang is noteworthy for being unique, as it is the most expensive movie with an all-black cast and production crew for its time. In 1992, it cost $40 million to make and made $130 million at the box office, which is rare for an all-black cast and crew film. Boomerang still holds up 27 years later. About the critical response, Hudden said, "There was one infamous review that summed up the ignorance of many critics. The movie was called a science fiction film because those writers didn't know about any successful black companies. They didn't know about Johnson Products or Johnson Publishing or Burrell Advertisement. They were just ignorant, which they tried to pass it off as wit." It was frustrating for Eddie because he was stretching out, expanding the range of movies he was doing, but instead of applauding him for doing something different, they sneered. So many people loved the film, from Nina Horn to Ice Cube. There are people who watch it with their family every Thanksgiving. That's why you can't sweat the controversy of the moment. Over time, the true value of a movie is revealed, which is why it's so nice Boomerang has generations of fans. With great writing, acting, directing, costume design, production design, music, all has made Boomerang a classic film. Are you a fan of Boomerang? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.